mechanic's opinion on e-bikes. Okay, my number one thing I want to caution people against is buying a used e-bike. There's two reasons for that, okay? The first reason is e-bikes are bicycles, yes, but they are primarily a technology product. It's like a computer, okay? And the technology is going so fast. Every new model of e-bike motor is significantly better than the model before it. So it's like, it's the year 2000. You might save 20, 30% if you bought last year's computer model. But last year's computer model is half the processing speed of the new one. So you're better just buying the new one. You would not buy a used computer in 2000. It would be a dumb decision to make. Likewise, we now have motors that have come out in the past couple of months that have 120 Newton meters of torque. When e-bikes came out, they had 40 Newton meters of torque. It completely changes the game. So instead of just being able to keep up with your fit friends on an e-bike, the modern motors, it's almost an entirely new sport where you can go uphill at basically downhill speeds. So my recommendation, I'll say it at the beginning and then I'll get into more of the details, is stick with a newest motor platform out there. And a bike shop is not going to give you this advice because bike shops inventory runs slow. So every bike shop has e-bike motors that are not the current generation motors. Like every computer store would have Intel processors that are not the current Intel processor. So what is the current motors? The Bosch 120 Newton meter motor, the Avinox 120 Newton meter motor, or the Enve 120 Newton meter motor. Those are the motor platforms I would recommend. And then I also get friends, they text me, well, what e-bike should I buy? Should I buy this new Bosch motor, Ibis? Or should I buy this 2025, this 2024 Orbea motor? Because the Orbea has a Fox Kashima fork, and this model only has a RockShox 35 fork. Okay, e-bikes, you're buying the motor. You're buying the motor primarily. So if it was a regular bike, I would say go with the older model with the fancier parts because technology on regular bikes isn't going so fast, if this makes sense. You're not really losing that much technology in the older types of bikes without the motors, but on an e-bike, you're losing the primary purpose for the bike. It would be like asking someone, okay, I'm at the computer store. This computer has the Intel processor from 10 years ago, and this computer but the computer that has the Intel processor from 10 years ago and runs on the old operating system has the nicest keyboard ever made. I would be like, forget about does the keyboard function? Does the fork function on the new gen motor? That the fork is functional. Okay, it's not gonna break on you. Go with the new bike. Don't go with the closeout inventory or the used inventory. And also, with buying used e-bikes, there's a huge issue right now, I see. You can go buy an e-bike, keep it for 2 years, pay like $3,000 for it, keep it for 2 years, and you can probably get $2,000 out of it. If it was a rational market, your used e-bike should never be worth more than 35% of your retail purchase price, ever. Because it's a used electronic. It is not a used hard asset like a bike or a hammer or a tool. It's an electronic device and it has issues. You can look at Specialized. Specialized is in a lawsuit right now because one of their older 5-year-old models started glitching out. Rad Power bikes went under primarily because of lawsuits driven by the degradation of their older e-bikes causing fires and all this stuff. So e-bikes are a technology product and there's a shelf life to them. Every electrical connection has a shelf life to it. Every battery has a shelf life to it. all the software, all the apps, it all has shelf life, not like a regular bike. This is a 20-year-old Marin with an e-bike motor strapped to it. I use it to get to the grocery store and back, just to have a little fun locally. But you gotta keep in mind, if e-bikes were priced right used, I would say, okay, you can go buy an e-bike used. But they're not, they're only priced like 30 to 40% off of the original purchase price. And the liabilities of buying a used e-bike far outweigh the positives of saving $1,000 or $2. So if you want a cheap e-bike, go to Costco and buy the cheap e-bike at Costco. That's my recommendation, because you can return it later if it starts blowing up or whatever. But that's my recommendation. Don't buy a used e-bike. My other recommendation is buy the motor. I was listening to a podcast with the Enve CEO. I have a quote I want to share with him, because it's a little weird. Not only are bike brands, traditional bike brands, selling e-bikes, they seem to be trying to market people to switch from a regular bike to an e-bike. And this, I don't understand the psychology of what the marketing department's plan is, because when you buy an e-bike, you are buying the motor. You are not buying the brand. And right now there's still brand cachet because it's a new product. People are learning how to use it. Do you remember when computers first came out and it was like, dude, you're getting a Dell. Dude, you're getting a Greenway, or what was the cow one? There was all these huge computer brands. There's no huge computer brands anymore, because you're buying the Intel processor and you are buying the operating system. I have an Apple laptop. I paid twice, 3 times as much as I would have been able to pay for a Windows laptop. I didn't buy the laptop. I bought the operating system. It's the operating system that makes it cost 3 times as much. I prefer the Apple operating system. Likewise, e-bike industry, you either need to be Apple and own the operating system and own the hard asset, or your company's gonna get destroyed, because no one's going to care if it says Dell. No one's gonna care if it says Trek. They care about the motor. The motor is the most important thing. And there was this podcast, I'll get to it. The Enve CEO he was asked why they're not chasing the e-bike market. And he said this: Enve doesn't compete in the e-bike side. I'm paraphrasing. The problem with e-bikes for us is core competency. I mean, our core competency is composites. I think if we made an e-bike, we'd be buying half the stuff. And I don't know how you stay innovative if you're buying the same stuff as everyone else. So think about that, Buttons. He's come in my truck. When you strap on someone else's product as the primary driver to make the sale, when the computer industry put in Intel processors to make the sale, people eventually wised up and they just bought. They don't care about the brand anymore. If you're buying a laptop, if you're buying a regular PC, no one cares about the brand. Maybe a tiny little niche might care, but it's a completely different game. So I love the bike industry. I'm grateful for e-bikes. They're keeping a roof over my head fixing them. But these are some things to think about. I just had yesterday a customer text me. Their e-bike is smoking, and when they plug it in, there's sparks coming out. And I'm like, get that bike away from your house. I'm not qualified. You need to contact the person who sold you the bike, the store who sold you the bike. So there's issues with e-bikes, okay? They're not just a regular bike. When you buy an e-bike, if you take care of it, expect to get 10 years out of it maximum. But it's also crazy because Specialized is in a lawsuit. Other brands are in lawsuits. As these e-bikes degrade, they marketed them as lifetime products, just like a regular bike. And I don't know how you keep electronic parts working for a lifetime. They have to have, what is everything soldered in gold? There's problems there. But yeah, primarily, if you're spending $3,000+ on an e-bike, don't buy the closeout that the store's trying to get rid of. Don't buy a used bike because it has carbon wheels on it. Buy a new motor. The new motors are the most important thing. It's like trying to buy, oh, I can save some money by buying this computer that runs on Windows 95. It's like Windows XP exists. And Windows XP came out in like 2002 and was the operating system for almost a decade afterwards. I feel like the new e-bike motors, the 120 Newton meter motors, are going to be the operating system for e-bikes, the standard speed for the next decade. And it is a game changer. Avinox came out with 150 Newton meters. I don't understand why Pivot put that on a bike. 150 Newton meters, you're pushing the e-moto territory, and you might, if the industry goes that far, they're going to start getting banned on a lot of trails. And I always thought of Pivot as a brand that like cared about the trails, cared about trail culture. And I'm going to be honest, it's a little weird for me to see them pushing 150 Newton meter e-bike on as a mountain bike, as a class 1. It's kind of a loophole. I mean, it's a class 1, but you've turned those little cranks. Every time you push on that crank, it's a throttle. It's giving twice as much power to your back wheel as you pedaling. When it was half as much power, okay, you're pedaling and it's assisting. But with 120 and definitely 150 Newton meters, your pedaling is the assistance to the motor doing the majority of the work. And it's fun. I personally don't do it a whole lot for fun. I like regular bikes for fun. People tease me about that. I don't care. We can tease each other. We can have fun. This is the e-bike buyer's guide.